This is the world's first fax machine used for business communication by allowing documents to be sent instantly over long distances. In today's video, we're diving into a world before smartphones, when getting stranded meant searching for a payphone and hoping that it wasn't broken, when jukeboxes filled the air with music instead of playlists, and when navigating the world without GPS was a risky game of guesswork. Telex machines. Long before email and instant messaging, there was the telex, a groundbreaking device that revolutionized long-distance communication. Using telegraph networks, these electromechanical teleprinters transmitted text through electrical signals, printing messages in real time. Every word came at a cost. It meant that people had to be super careful with their words, like an early version of texting shorthand. Despite limitations, the telex was a gold standard for international messaging for decades, keeping businesses, banks, and news agencies connected worldwide. Fast forward to today, and it's quietly disappeared, completely overshadowed by email and instant messaging, and has been replaced by the speed and convenience of the internet. Printed maps and atlases. There was a time when road trips weren't complete without a giant crinkly paper map spread across the dashboard. Travelers could trace their routes with a finger, flipping through the bulky atlas to find the right page, and refolding those maps was an art form that very few mastered. With the arrival of GPS and smartphones, maps have been replaced by travelers. And now with a tap, you can get real-time turn-by-turn directions, traffic updates, and alternative routes. No more guessing or pulling over to ask for directions. Punch clocks. Before the invention of digital systems, punch clocks had been the official timekeeper of every shift. Employees had to slide a card in, hear the satisfying click, and officially begin their day. For decades, they were the backbone of tracking work hours, but as technology evolved, the clunky machines were replaced for good. Today, digital systems, biometric scanners, and smartphone apps have taken over. No more lost punch cards and long lines at the clock-in station. Just a quick tap on the screen and you're good to go. Boom boxes. Back in the day, carrying a boombox on your shoulder meant you were bringing the party with you. The massive bass-thumping music machines were everywhere in the 80s and 90s, blasting cassette tapes and later CDs. Over the years, MP3 players, smartphones, and wireless speakers made them bulky and impractical. Why haul around a heavy stereo when you had everything in your pocket? Today, they're a retro icon, more than a daily essential, and the beat still goes on, with the boombox being officially tuned out. VHS tapes and VCRs. Remember the days of renting a movie, rewinding the tape, and hoping they didn't get eaten by the machine? That's how we watched movies at home. VHS tapes were bulky and wore out over time, and rewinding felt like it took forever.
Kodak videotape. It captures the sights and sounds of every moment.
Then came the DVD, Blu-ray, and eventually streaming, making VCRs obsolete. No more tracking issues or tangled tape, just instant access to movies with the click of a button. Typewriters. There was a time when the rhythmic clanking of typewriters filled every office and home, turning thoughts into ink on paper. They were built to last with no crashing or updating, just pure mechanical magic. They had one big problem though, mistakes could be unforgiving. One typo and you'd be reaching for the whiteout. Then came computers and word processors that offered editing and faster typing and endless formatting options, and overnight typewriters became outdated. Today they're vintage collectibles loved by enthusiasts, but forgotten by the rest of the world. Home landline phones. There was a time when every home had a landline, usually with a tangled cord and frantic race to pick up before the last ring. Families would memorize phone numbers, leave handwritten messages, and shared the line with everyone in the house. Let's not forget the struggle of dealing with a busy signal or the suspense of answering a call without knowing who was on the other end. Everything changed when cell phones took over. You could talk to anyone, anytime, anywhere with no cords and limits. Caller ID, texting, and smartphones made the landline feel clunky and outdated. And today, homes have cut the cord completely, leaving the landline phones as a thing of the past. Coin tokens. Tokens were your ticket to fun and travel back in the day. Whether you were hopping on the subway or hitting the arcade, the little coins were essential. Slipping a token into an arcade machine felt like unlocking an adventure. But as technology advanced, subways were moved to digital fare cards, and arcades switched to swipe cards and tap payments. No more jingling pockets full of tokens, just quick and cashless convenience. Today, they're mostly collectibles and reminders of a time when every ride and game began with a simple clink. Pagers and beepers. If you had a pager or beeper clipped to your belt back in the day, you were either super important or really cool. The devices allowed people to send short messages, and when it beeped, you knew that it was time to find a phone and call back. Pagers became outdated with the advent of cell phones. Why get a beep and hunt down a phone when you can just do it instantly? Today, pagers are mostly used in hospitals, but for the rest of the world, they faded into history. Camera film. There was a time when every photo was a surprise. You just had no idea if you captured the perfect shot until the film was developed. Camera film was the heart of photography, requiring careful loading, precise exposure, and a trip to the lab to see the results. And don't forget the devastation of discovering blurry or overexposed pictures. Digital cameras and smartphones would change everything. The instant previews, filters, and storage make film outdated almost overnight. Drugstores that once had aisles of film and processing now sell phone chargers and memory cards instead. Newspaper vending machines. Remember the time when newspaper vending machines were on every street corner, cafe, and busy public space? You didn't get the morning paper delivered, you dropped in some change, pulled the door, and grabbed the latest headlines. But if you waited too long, they'd all be gone. Now with going digital, these machines are obsolete. Why dig for quarters when you can read the news instantly on your phone? Most of them have vanished, being replaced by the endless scroll of online media. The Rolodex. Before smartphones and digital contact lists, every office had a Rolodex, a spinning wheel of business cards and handwritten contacts. If you need to find someone, you flip through the cards until you landed on the right name. It was like the LinkedIn of its time, keeping pros connected in a world long before email and social media. Advancements in technology would replace them, and suddenly you didn't have to shuffle through paper cards, you just type in a name and find a number in seconds. Contact information updates automatically, and business cards became digital scans. Jukeboxes. Jukeboxes were once the life of a diner, bar, and dance hall. Drop in a coin, press a button, and the music took over. With glowing lights and flipping records, the satisfying mechanical sounds made every song choice feel special. Whether it was rock and roll or a slow dance favorite, the jukebox set the mood. It was only a matter of time before the arrival of digital streaming and playlists. Suddenly, you didn't need a coin or a physical record, just tap a screen and play any song you want. Jukeboxes faded away, now mostly seen as retro decor and themed diners, but they remind us of a time when picking a song felt like an experience and not just the push on a screen. Answering machines. Before voicemail, answering machines were the real deal. If you missed a call, you could leave a message on a tiny cassette tape and listen to it later. The little devices saved countless misconnections and awkward call-me-back moments. But as landlines disappeared, so too did the machines. Voicemail and smartphones took over, keeping the idea alive in digital form. While the machine itself is a device of the past, it forever changed how we expect to never really miss a call. Cigarette vending machines. Cigarette vending machines used to be everywhere. After putting in some change, you pull a lever and a pack pops out. There's no cashier, questions asked, and it was quick and convenient and completely unregulated. As awareness about the dangers of smoking grew and laws around age restrictions tightened, the machines began to disappear. Governments cracked down to prevent underage access, and anti-smoking campaigns made cigarettes less socially acceptable. With fewer smokers and stricter regulations, the vending machines became obsolete. Today, they're mostly museum pieces, reminding everyone of a time when grabbing a pack of smokes was as easy as buying a snack. The $2 bill. The $2 bill was always an oddball in the world of cash because it was rare, unique, and exciting to find. With Thomas Jefferson on the front and the Declaration of the Independence on the back, it wasn't all about being money. They were never as common as ones or fives, and getting one felt like striking a miniature jackpot. And as the world moved toward credit cards, digital wallets, and mobile payments, the demand for cash faded away and production slowed down. Today, they're collector's items from a time when paper money had a bit more personality. Laugh tracks. For decades, laugh tracks were the invisible studio audience, cueing viewers on when to chuckle, giggle, and burst out in laughter. Whether the jokes were hilarious or just amusing, the familiar canned laughter made every sitcom feel more lively, even when it was filmed in an empty studio. Shows like Blackadder and Seinfeld thrived on it, creating a shared comedy experience. As comedy evolved, so did the audience. Viewers started to crave authentic humor and not pre-recorded giggles, and single-camera sitcoms like The Office clearly out-laugh tracks in favor of awkward silence and natural comedy. Floppy disks. Once the ultimate storage solution, they were thin, square, and capable of holding less than 2 megabytes of data. It was enough for some documents and a small game or a handful of photos, and inserting a floppy into a computer and hearing the click felt high-tech. But as technology advancement transformed the way that people store data, the files got bigger, software more complex, and floppy disks could not keep up. USB drives, external hard drives, and cloud storage took over, offering faster speed and way more space. Car cigarette lighters. There was a time when every car came with a built-in lighter, the small metal plug that heated up with the push of a button. And if you didn't smoke, chances are you used it to light a candle, burn the frayed rope, or just press it out of curiosity. But as smoking declined and technology took over, manufacturers found a better use for the socket, the USB port, which made it into a phone charger and power adapter. It turned what was once an essential for a smoker into an outdated car feature. Encyclopedias. There was once a time when encyclopedias were the ultimate source of knowledge, neatly arranged in thick hardcover volumes that lined bookshelves in homes, schools, and libraries. Whether you were researching for a project or curious about the world, those massive books felt like unlocking a new world of information. The introduction of the internet would change everything. Instead of flipping through pages, you typed your question into a search engine and got the answer in seconds. Encyclopedias have been completely replaced by digital databases, and search engines are faster and constantly updated and always at your fingertips. Bank deposit slips. There was a time when putting money in the bank meant filling out a deposit slip by hand, carefully writing everything down and giving it to the teller. A routine part of banking, just like waiting in a long line. Today, though, mobile deposits and online banking have made it faster and paper-free. You can now transfer money in moments with just a few taps on your phone. Cassette tapes. You could take a cassette tape and make a mixtape for a friend, or rewind a tangled tape with a pencil. There was something special about pressing play, record, and stop with physical buttons, creating a personal soundtrack for any mood. But they weren't exactly convenient.
Sony introduces the only cassette player as small as a cassette case.
They wore out, got jammed, and finding a specific song meant fast-forwarding and rewinding. CDs and MP3 players and eventually streaming made music effortless for everyone. TV Guide magazine. Before streaming and on-screen guides, TV Guide was the source for planning your nightly TV lineup. Every week, a new issue would arrive packed full of shows and synopsis and celebrity interviews. Families could flip through pages, highlight their must-watch shows, and circle the big premieres, and it became a ritual that ensured you never missed your favorite show. But as technology evolved, our viewing habits did as well. Digital cable, DVR, and streaming services offered instant access, and now with everything on demand, printed schedules feel like a distant memory. Fax machines. Fax machines were once the peak of office technology, allowing businesses to send documents over phone lines. The whirring and screeching sound of a fax connected meant that something important was on its way. Whether it was a contract, a memo, or an official document, it was the fastest way to share information. But it was all replaced by email and cloud storage, making faxing feel slow and outdated. Why deal with a paper jam or a blurry print when you could send a document with a single click? The Walkman and Discman. The Walkman and Discman was another way to take your music anywhere. Pop in your favorite CD, press play, and enjoy, as long as you didn't move around too much. One step and your music could skip or even stop. Some models introduced anti-skip technology, but as you would expect, it didn't always work, and it was eventually replaced by the digital music player. Instead of carrying a stack of CDs, you had thousands of songs in your pocket. Payphones. There was a time when the payphone was everywhere, ready to save the day when you needed to make a call. All you required was a quarter and a number and hope that they picked up. You might have to dig for another coin or try later if they didn't, and if you ran out of change, you were hoping that someone would lend you some. But as cell phones became the norm, payphones got out of place. Why search for a payphone when you can call, text, and video chat anywhere, anytime? Dial-up internet. Dial-up internet was the first glimpse into the online world and came with serious struggles. The screeching sound meant your computer was slowly connecting, and downloading a single song could take hours. If somebody picked up the phone, your connection was gone. For many, dial-up was magic. Chat rooms, early websites, and email felt like stepping into the future. And when Wi-Fi arrived, dial-up became ancient. Now you could stream and game and browse without waiting ages for a single page to load. Traveler's checks. There was a time when traveler's checks were a must-have on an international trip. Safer than cash and easy to replace, they were the go-to solution. You had to sign them, hand them over at the bank or exchange office, and you get local currency in return. It may have been a bit of a process, but you didn't have to worry about carrying a large amount of cash. With the invention of credit cards, ATMs, and digital, traveler's checks became almost useless. Phone books. Back in the pre-Google days, phone books were popular as directories for finding a number. They were thick and heavy and packed full of thousands of listings in tiny print, covering everything from local businesses to your next-door neighbor. And the invention of smartphones and the internet took over. Why dig through pages when you can Google a number in seconds? And the bulky books cluttered up doorsteps and junk drawers. CRT televisions. CRT TVs were big and boxy and felt like tanks dominating living rooms for decades. The hefty screens had curved glass and chunky dials, and the satisfying thunk when turned on, followed by a brief static zap if you got too close. If you wanted a bigger screen, you had to have serious muscle to move it. It became a thing of the past when the evolution of flat screens, HD, and smart TVs came in. More light and sleek with crystal clear resolution, they delivered entertainment without taking up half the room. In the end, it's amazing how quickly technology changes. A few decades ago, these objects were everyday essentials, and technology erased them from existence. It makes you wonder what would be next. Will today's gadgets go obsolete in the future? And what do they tell us about how fast technology and life itself changes now? As always, leave a comment down below and let me know what you think. Also, be sure you subscribe to the channel so that you never miss another great video like this one. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you next time.